And hello, movie lovers. So today I actually have my good friend and co-host Alex with me from the Crop Top Critic. So we're going to be reviewing Halloween. This is actually the 1978 one with Jamie Lee Curtis. This is the birth of a horror classic. Let's go ahead. Let's dive into it. Let's travel down to the roads of Haddonfield.
Ah,
You see, you're even bouncing around on here just as you are bouncing around in your picture. So it actually works out.
I like to just bounce.
But dude, welcome to the show as always and everything too. I'm actually glad that you're back and we're able to do this.
Yeah, me too. I missed you. I miss all of you.
I
Heart.
missed you too, dude. I
Is
missed you
that a
too.
heart?
But you
Is
know
that a
what though,
heart?
man? You're working your ass off though on your channel though, and I'm proud of you for it.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I honestly been kind of on the struggle bus lately. I've been driving that thing around for a while. So it's nice to, step away and come over here and, like be a part of this too. So thank you again for having me.
You're welcome anytime. So we're gonna go scene by scene of the 1978 classic with Jamie Lee Curtis. So welcome to a special edition of our podcast where we're diving deep into the horror classic that started it all, Halloween from 1978. Join us as we explore the spine-tingling story, the iconic slasher Michael Myers, and the lasting impact of the film on the horror genre. So grab your popcorn, turn down the lights, and prepare for a journey into the chilling world of Halloween. So, I have a question for you. Was this your first time seeing Halloween? When was like the very first time you seen Halloween?
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, and please don't be mad at me. I have never seen this Halloween movie. I've seen
Yes.
the Rob Zombie
Hmm.
Halloween, just the first one. I seen the the remake requels, the 2018 Halloween and Halloween Ends and Halloween Kills. Those were garbage, but I haven't seen the very first one, the one that started it all, which is a big movie sin. It bugged me having seen those movies and not seen that. It bugs other people when I tell them that. So this is my first time.
Dude, I am so happy that this is your first time because now I can get to geek out with you because of the fact this is your first time reviewing it and seeing it for the. So I'm not even mad at you for that
Okay.
because I'm happy that you did that. But yeah, this actually starts out on Halloween night, 1963. Judith Myers is home on Halloween night, spending an evening with her boyfriend Judith and her boyfriend eventually leave the living room and goes, okay, you know what though, man? I'm actually jumping up a little bit, I think. So, yeah. So basically, this starts off where we wind up seeing Dr. Loomis and them driving around in the car, I believe. Hold on. I'm having an off night. Hold on. Okay, I got my notes. I'm back on target. Judith Myers is at home and on Halloween night spending an evening with her boyfriend, Judith, and her boyfriend eventually leave the living room and go upstairs. Michael then enters the house wearing a clown costume. He goes into the kitchen and gets a butcher knife out of a drawer, then hides in the living room until he sees the boyfriend leave. After the boyfriend leaves, Michael walks upstairs where the friends has discovered a clown mask on the floor. He picks it up and places it over his head. He walks into Judith's room where she is seen sitting in front of her vanity mirror, brushing her hair. Michael begins stabbing her repeatedly. Eventually, she falls out of her chair and onto her bedroom floor where she dies. So the opening scene alone, I like how they go into the first person view thing, just like how they did in Friday the 13th. So I
Hmm.
like how they set that part up first and giving us some context of what's going on and within this house.
Yeah. At first I was bugged by it because I was just like, why did Michael do that? He just straight up shanked his sister to death. Like, what was the purpose of that? But like, I guess that's the theme of his character is just there's no purpose. He's just evil, and something in him just snapped one day and just wanted to murder. So that part was well done, just establishing like who he is as a character. But also, that opening scene was hilarious to me because a couple reasons. First reason is from the time Judith and her boyfriend go upstairs to have sex and the time it took Michael to at least get into the house, it was about a minute and a half, I would say. And in that minute and a half, Judith and her boyfriend went upstairs, had sex, and then he was out the door. So I was just like, that was like way faster than any quickie I've ever heard of. Did you notice that too? It was just like, dang, he got out of there pretty quick.
Yeah, he was like a 5-second man, not even a 5-minute man.
Yeah, they just went upstairs and then he was like, all right, I gotta go. And I'm like, bro, what happened up there? That was the
You know
real
what he needed though,
crime.
man? He needed some hymns. That's what he needed. He needed some hymns so that way he could actually perform better in bed.
I was just like, oh man, I was like, they didn't laugh. Because I thought he was going to kill both of them. I'm like, oh, they're having sex. They're going to be up there a while. He immediately. So that was funny. And then when Michael started stabbing Judith, that was funny to me also. Not the stabbing part, but just how she was reacting to being stabbed. Just, oh no, It was like kind of sexual, but also like bad acting. And I've never been stabbed before. Maybe that's what people sound like when they're stabbed. I don't know for sure, but that was no like I was like, this is I want to feel sorry for her. I can't. It's just too funny right now.
Well, you do know that they were trying to make it into like an Albert Hitchcock kind of thing, though, too, because of Psycho and stuff. So I understood what they were going for, but yeah, it doesn't hold up as good as much as it used to for me.
Yeah.
That scene, I didn't laugh at it. I'm like, okay, this is just there to set up the plot, and then we can just move on from it, and then we get introduced to Loomis. And that's basically how I felt about it. And then, of course, the whole entire shock thing of that camera pulling away from him in this clown costume, and then it goes into the next in a couple of years later. But what did you think of the pull away of the camera angle and showing Michael in his clown costume with the blood on the knife?
That was a cool shot because like you're expecting, just how your mind just creates this image. Like you're expecting like a large kind of scary looking kid, a scary looking person that just murdered their own sister. Like when they pull away and you just see this little boy who's just kind of blank to everything going on. You're like, dang, it could be anyone that has that just evil in them. So I thought that was really cool seeing and shocking too. It's like it's just a little boy wearing a clown costume. Like that's a trip.
It definitely is, and especially the fact that he's expressionless. He doesn't have any type of expression with him. He just stands there, and they arrest him. And then 15 years later, it is a rainy night as Dr. Samuel Loomis and Nurse Marianne Chambers drive it to Smith's Grove Sanitarium. They are charged with transferring their patient, 21-year-old Michael Myers, from the hospital to the Hayden County Courthouse so he can stand trial for his crimes. Loomis warns Marion about how dangerous Michael is, although the patient hasn't spoken a word in over 15 years. Damn, that's more than the amount of years that anyone that I've ever dated that I pissed off never spoke to me. So what was your initial thoughts of Loomis inside the car with Marion and then them explaining the whole entire deal where he hasn't spoken a word in 15 years?
I'm curious about like how a real psychologist would diagnose Michael Myers, because just hearing how Dr. Loomis describes him, this is an evil person. Like I'm doing everything in my power to make sure Michael stays locked up. That's just pure evil. There's nothing in there. Like I don't know. Once again, I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on psychology or anything, but I feel like psychologists aren't supposed to talk like that about their patients, or they feel like they don't give up on him. But then again, Dr. Loomis has been with him since he was a boy, so he would know the most about Michael. So like, just in real life, how would a psychologist that has
Would
Michael
actually
as a
handle it.
patient handle it? But because Dr. Loomis definitely has a hate boner for Michael. Totally understandable, but he does.
Right, because he winds up explaining, hey, look, he's actually a little bit more, he's crazy, he's expressionless, he doesn't say anything, he hasn't spoken to me in 15 years or anything like that, and you need to be very careful with him, very cautious with him. And then I'm thinking to myself, wouldn't you also want to have cops with you to escort him into the next county as well?
Yeah, I'm like, they were just going to put him in the back seat, or...
Because my other thought is this, it's just the two of them. Now that I'm reviewing it and stuff like that, wouldn't they want a cop to be with them and escort them? What makes Loomis so special? Why does he have to be the one to do this? It's like nobody wants any part of this. Like everybody at the security place was like drew straws that night. It was like, you know what, Bob? What? We're gonna draw straws. Okay. Anyone that has the short straw, we're not gonna go. Okay. Everybody on that one must have actually had short straws, and nobody decided to go.
Yeah.
So, like, well, what is Loomis doing now? Well, he's been with Michael for 15 years. He's kind of old now, so let's just get him to do it.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I was wondering that. Like, so they're just gonna. This is how he's gonna die. We're gonna drug him up to the point where he can barely stand, and then we're just gonna transfer him to this place. And I was just like, yeah, wouldn't you need a police officer at least? Or like, isn't there a whole bus system that you use to do this? There's all these things about that scene. I was just like, all right, this is where Michael escapes, I bet, because it's just this old guy and a nurse who like, neither of them are prepared for this 21-year-old non-pain feeling man. And
exactly. And then he goes, Loomis says, rightfully, but he believes that he is a psychopath. Why does he believe he's a psychopath? Either he's a psychopath or you don't know he's a psychopath. You've been with him for 15 years.
Like,
so you mean to tell me in 15 years?
You should know. You shouldn't believe. You should know this by now. Like, he is, or he is a sociopath. Whatever the correct phrase is.
First doctor ever.
Yeah.
but as they approach the main gate, they notice several of the patients outside wondering about the rain. Loomis gets out of the car to check the gate, leaving Marion by herself. Michael Myers appears and leaps on top of Marion's car. He reaches inside to grab her, and Marion guns the vehicle. She brings it to a quick stop, however, and exits the car. Michael jumps inside and drives off.
That scene made me so angry. Because she saw him jump on top of the car. Why did she roll down her window to like look? Like, no, you keep your windows rolled up. Like, have him break the window. Like, if he broke the windows and dragged her, fine. That's the game. Sometimes you lose, but that was her fault. Why did she roll down the windows? Like, I just want to see this guy on the car.
I just want to see what this guy Loomis is talking about.
You just had a whole conversation with Loomis about how messed up this dude is, and you gonna open your window when he's on
exactly
top of
like it's a drive-through, mental asylum.
Yeah, my windows are rolled up, and I'm putting that car in reverse. I'm skidding. He's better hold on.
That's actually how I felt though too. I mean, I would have been like gutting for it. We're basically just running over Michael,
Mm-hmm.
and then I would leave Loomis behind and be like, "Peace, dude. It's been real. They don't pay me enough for this shit."
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, I thought the initial scene though at night, I thought the lighting was really good for the suspense of it. I thought that they did a very good job at building that scene up to where we get a little bit of a peek of Michael and knowing what we're dealing with. It's like the legend, someone around the campfire talking about this legend that everybody knows. And then when you come across that legend, it becomes so real.
Yeah.
To the point where you basically don't know what to do. and I don't know if that's what the nurse was in like shell shock. But I think that when you're panicking, you're not thinking clearly either. You have and she decides to roll down the windows, just like how we would actually lower the volume for our car to find out to see if we're actually going the right way. But it's not the same thing. I
Yeah,
get
no,
it.
I get that. I feel like if I was in that position, my brain would automatically be like, okay, protect yourself. Are the windows closed?
Right.
It wouldn't be like, oh, someone dangerous is on my car. I want to look at them.
Plus, it's
Yeah.
also storming that night too, man. Like, why would you roll down the windows on a stormy night afterwards? And then also too, you're not even going to be able to see them in the first place because it's dark.
It's dark.
So,
And I'm not going to get water all over my car seat. Like, nah.
but now we're in the town of Haddonfield, Illinois. High school student Laurie Strode leaves her house and begins walking to school. Her father is a realtor. Asks her to drop a key off at the Myers house. Along the way, she comes upon young Tommy Doyle, whom Laurie frequently babysits. She has plans to look at him after him on Halloween night. Now, the house is now condemned. This looks like a Freddy Krueger Nightmare on Elm Street house. I get the fact that some people back in those days might be looking for a fixer-upper and stuff like that. And some people would actually demolish the house and try to resell it on that property and try to cover it up. Oh, you know what? Someone died here. But let me show you this kitchen. No, not them. They're going to go on ahead and try to sell this rundown house.
The foundation's really good. There's murder here, but gotta love this kitchen.
Let me show you where young Michael picked up the butcher knife real quick. This is where, if you actually look at it, you can see the chalk outline upstairs.
Look how easily the drawers open. This is where the knife was, by the way. But anyway, those drawers, look at that. Slides right in and out. This scene, this was the first scene that scared the snot out of me when she's like, oh, I'm going to go put the key under the mat. Here I go. And I was like, oh, it's going to be like a fake scare. Like you think something's going to be there, but not really. And then just out of nowhere, it just shows the inside and his head appears. I was like, oh, no. That got me bad. And it's like, that was like the first of many jump scares in this that get you. Because this is like back before jump scares were like just constant. And like they don't do any like build up music to it really. It's just quiet, and then all of a sudden, duh! Like that's how it should be, honestly.
Right. And I like the fact that, there's no background music to let you know that something's out there, but I do like the fact that we see a glimpse of Michael behind the curtain of the house, and he's looking outside as Laurie's looking inside, basically, to put the key underneath the mat. And I like that airiness and that creepiness of it. And you also have this little bit of, you have the darkness, and then you also have a little bit of the light on the outside. So basically, Laurie would be the light, he would be the dark. So I like that kind of concept in a sense, though, too.
Yeah, for sure.
But, this is the thing that I had a beef with whenever it came down to Doyle. You know what I'm saying? Whenever I had, basically when we had Tommy being introduced to us in Halloween Kills, they didn't learn jack shit from this night or this experience. They just went balls in and decided to try and take down Michael themselves.
Yep.
That was the issue that I had with Halloween Kills.
Awful.
And yeah. But okay, so another thing though too is like I like how atmospheric this movie is because it does feel like Halloween. It does feel like a Halloween day. This reminds me of my little small town that I live in. And they do trick-or-treating at stores and things like that. So I like the atmosphere behind it and things like that too. And I like how basically you actually have the little kid. You have him being excited because Laurie's watching him watching him on Halloween night. And they're going to watch horror movies together and preparing their night for that, which is something that I really love about that. It's a tradition back in those days. But yeah, as Tommy launches a barrage of questions at Laurie, she turns to drop the key off at Myers. Okay. At Myers' house, Tommy warns her that it's a spook house. She slips the key through the mail slot. But there is someone inside the house, staring through the window at her. Laurie doesn't notice the strange shape peering back at her, but he keeps a close eye on her as she continues walking to school. As Smith Groves, Loomis argues with hospital administrator Terrence Wyan. He blames him for allowing someone like Michael to escape. Wyan doesn't understand how he could have orchestrated such a breakout, saying that he doesn't even know how to drive a car. Loomis reports with, he was doing a very good job last night. Loomis knows exactly where Michael is going. Haddonfield.
Yeah, it's just he's like, well, apparently he can. Someone taught him because he stole my damn car. He played GTA before it even came out.
He played GTA before it was cool.
Yeah, shoot.
He must have one of those little driver's ed PC computers, you know.
He whipped out of there.
Yeah, but you know, we talked about the little bit of the peek behind the curtain. We talked about that, but Loomis blaming the hospital staff for the incompetence of what happened and everything too. Do you feel like it is the hospital's fault for that? But at the same time, I bet that, like, well, you know what? You knew he was crazy, so.
Well, I mean, their job is to hold the people there. And so, like, you don't even know how they escaped or if they escaped at all. People were just wandering around outside. Like, you know, and I'm surprised Michael didn't just walk away. Because, like, they were outside of the hospital, right? Like outside the front gate, just kind of chilling there. Like, was he just standing there waiting for a car? Like, how did they even escape? They were just like, there was no fire.
That's what I want to know. I was wondering if, like, there was like a riot that Michael decided to orchestrate. Did he kill somebody, like on Rob Zombie's Halloween, which is like an Elseworld movie,
right
outside of the canon? But I was like, what actually happened? And I wish they would have actually expanded a little bit more on that. Yeah. Instead of that, all the people being outside of the building, all the not inmates, but all the people that are getting psychological help. I wish they would have actually been. They would actually showed more to it, other than them just being outside that gate.
For sure.
When Loomis pulled up, because I think it would actually gave us a lot more concrete stuff.
Yeah, this is one of many points throughout the movie where it's just like, it would be even better if they, you know, went a little bit more detail. Like, I just need a little something, like show a fire somewhere in that field, like, you know, like show the gate broken open, like something to be like, oh, obviously they broke through somehow, like, so there was a riot, there was an accident, something happened, like, you know, like, we don't need a whole scene explaining it, but, you know, just something, a little bit more, a little bit of mustard on that sandwich.
But yeah, at Haddonfield Elementary School, a group of bullies antagonized the smaller Tommy Doyle. They circle around the boy who is carrying a pumpkin and begin chanting, "The boogeyman is going to get you, Tommy." Scared turns to run, but falls and smashes his pumpkin. The kids take off running, one of whom has a chance to encounter with the shape. The shape is, in reality, Michael Myers. Gets into the car he had stolen from the hospital and shadows Tommy Doyle. And I was thinking to myself, why don't you just look? The bully should have been the one that he was shadowing, not Tommy.
Yeah. And then that was another thing. I was like, obviously, there's a connection that he has with Laurie Strode and Tommy, and you know, we learned this in the sequels, obviously, but in this movie, like, doesn't really give you a reason why specifically he wants to go after Tommy, and like, why didn't he just like, oh, well, I have this kid in my hands right now. Like, he just kind of shakes for a second,
right? Because Tommy is like the first encounter that actually sees Michael and actually bangs into him. Unlike Laurie, who just sees glimpses of him apparent behind bushes and things like that too. But it makes it a lot more clear to Tommy that he's more than just a shape. He's actually a person. and everything too, to the point where he actually believes in the boogeyman. But
did I miss at any point in the movie? Because I've been looking for it. I read that Michael Myers is referred to as the Shape,
yep,
but I never hear it in the movies. Or do I just miss it? Did they call him the Shape
no,
in any of the movies?
that's actually what they put into it is the Shape.
That's what they put in, like the written
This,
stuff.
yeah, that's why he's called the Shape.
Yeah, I've heard that, and I'm just like, the Shape. Thought it was Michael Myers.
There's a little bit of confusion, but it's the fact that he can pretty much blend in anywhere and things like that too. And he's like that guy, basically that person that can scare you at night, basically. So, but the reason why I was thinking that he would go after the bullies is because remember when we did Trick or Treat, right? Where basically you have these traditions of the holiday spirit, and if you wind up breaking the rules, you die. So what I was thinking was, well, because those bullies broke the pumpkin, and then with Michael being so into like Halloween, I was thinking that maybe because those bullies broke the pumpkin, those would be the ones that he would go after, not Tommy.
Yeah.
And also because, the guy's a punk ass bitch, but
Michael Myers just driving around in the car just made me laugh. Just because, like, when he was like driving past Laurie or Tommy, and just how much he's turning his head and kind of doing all this, I'm like, bro, you about to crash? Like, how awkward would that be? He's just like, oh damn, just bumps, just rear ends someone, like, oh god, so here's my insurance, my bad.
Hey, my bad, officer. You look like that my Myers guy from the hospital. I don't know what you're talking about. I get that a lot.
I'm wearing a mask. You can't tell.
But I definitely like the initial setup of Tommy first meeting him for the first time and making it surreal that he's scared of him, even though he doesn't know who he is yet.
Yeah. And just how he was stalking Laurie when she was walking home from school. Like that he's just standing outside her school window, and it does that little music, like da-na-na, and he's just there. Those scenes scared me, and just how intensely he is staring at her. And I'm like, oh no,
it definitely has that unsettledness. Right.
Yeah, thank you. Unsettledness is, or he's driving past them in the car, and all of a sudden he just stops after the friend talks mess. I'm like, oh, she's gonna be the first one to die. He's like, yeah, that's why I had to stop the car. He's like, hey, what's that girl's name? Nah,
hey, what's up?
I got you.
How you
I'm
doing?
about to choke her later in this movie.
Oh my god. But 73 miles outside of Haddonfield, Loomis pulls his BMW off to the side and makes a telephone call from a payphone to tell Sheriff Brackett in Haddonfield. He warns him about Michael Myers and tells him that he is coming to Haddonfield. Loomis hangs up and expects a nearby empty truck. Sorry, I can't read my notes. Bearing the logo for Phillips' garage. He finds a set of discarded hospital robes in the bushes next to the truck. What he doesn't see is the body of a dead mechanic laying in the underbrush only a few feet away.
Dang. Yeah, I remember that. I was like, oh, poor mechanic.
But he has to be the worst prank caller ever. He's like, look, this is Dr. Loomis. There's Michael Myers. He escaped from mental institution. Who? Don't worry, I'm coming by. Click.
It was frustrating, honestly. Just any scene between Loomis and the sheriff, I'm like, Loomis is the doctor. Like, he's known this dude for 15 years. Why are you doubting him? He's like, no, he escaped. He wants to be here. I am telling you this. I've studied him for years. I know what he's capable of. I know what he wants. Even though he doesn't talk, I know what he wants for some reason. And the college just like, oh, sure. And that was frustrating to me.
I think it's just the whole fact that this is a small town, so they don't really believe, they're pretty much stuck in their ways and everything too. So they're not going to trust any kind of outsider with any kind of, even though he's a doctor, they're not going to trust anybody outside of their jurisdiction that would actually be beneficial to them. They're going to go by their own stature, their own standards versus somebody else outside of the law, regardless of the fact that they're a doctor.
That's why that girl gets choked.
Yep. Later in the afternoon, school lets out, and Laurie meets up with her friends Linda Van der Klock and Annie Brackett.
Van der Klock. Michael's in the car writing that name. Van der Klock. I'm choking her. I don't know how to spell her damn name. No.
Linda Cole complains about all the new chairs, and she has to learn while Annie huffs about her boyfriend Paul dragged her into the boys' locker room. As they walk home, Laurie stops and she realizes that she forgot her chemistry book. The car slowly drives by, and Annie shouts at the motorist. The car screeches to a halt, then starts up again. The three girls resume their conversation and go over to their plans for Halloween night. So basically, they're like, okay, well, random car just stops after they yell at him, and that's it. Okay, well, okay. So, Laurie, what are you doing for Halloween? Are we gonna go on ahead and throw a party? Like, yeah, girl, we're gonna go on ahead and throw a party. Okay, sounds good. You know.
We're babysitting tonight. while you two are having premarital sex.
Worst Halloween ever.
Worst Halloween ever. I have to watch kids. No.
Which is, that has to suck.
Yeah, I'm just like, dang, these are teenagers. Don't they have like anything to do for Halloween?
Well, I feel bad. Get this though, Laurie and Loomis are basically almost the same because now she has to put up with Tommy's shit because she's like the only babysitter that's available on Halloween night. Then you have Loomis, who's is basically looking for his lost kid because he escaped from a mental institution. So they're both.
One kid's annoying, the other murders.
Come back tomorrow. But Laurie is babysitting Tommy while Annie will be babysitting a girl named Lindsay Wallace. 3 doors down, Linda has a date with her boyfriend Bob. They continue walking, and Laurie suddenly sees the shape standing just beyond the hedge. She is disturbed by the strange mask that he's wearing. Just as quickly as he appeared, he disappears again. Annie, who did not see the man, inspects the hedge and turns up nothing. She teases Laurie, telling her that she scared away yet another potential boyfriend. The girls split up, and each of them return to their respective homes. I want to know something, man. What makes them think that this would actually be someone that they would want to go with?
What do you mean?
You know? I'm just wondering, what makes them think that this is actually a guy that they would want to go out with? That this would be good for Laurie?
Like, it's someone who's staring at me behind the hedge bushes. Oh, potential partner? No, absolutely not. Yeah. It was like, there's just no way. Like, oh, you were staring at me from behind bushes? Okay, well, stay behind those bushes. There will be no romantic affiliation. I'm not even entertaining that idea.
Not even romancing the stone, for that matter. But, yeah, I'm like, why would a guy be hiding behind the bushes be a good match for Laurie? It's like, well, damn, I missed my chance to get stalked. Let me do.
Guys are creepy.
Yeah. But I like how the airiness and the creepiness of it is where you have this guy just, like you said, Alex, where he's just staring at her through the hedges, even at school. And you have that unease about it, like you're being watched. And that's exactly how she feels, even whenever she even got her friend to walk her all the way home. Even her friend calls her out on it and everything. She goes, you see, Laurie, I locked you home. Nobody got you or anything.
Like, I wouldn't go home, honestly. I'm like, if I think someone
Hey, kid.
is following me, hooty hoo! If someone is following me, if I think someone's following me, I'm not going to my house. I am staying out on the street in public. I'm not turning down any alleyways. I'm not going into any buildings. I'm in the street. I'm making a whole bunch of ruckus too. I'm singing to myself. Like, I'm gonna get as much attention to me as possible. No, 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 not going home.
No, I would not be going home. I would actually try to basically just walk around in circles or anything until he runs out of gas since he's driving. Or
Just, ah, damn it.
um,
Michael goes
or I
to the
would
gas
just
station.
right? Because I think of it like this though, okay? I would actually try to sidetrack the guy into thinking where the opposite of what he wants, where he's gonna be stalking me at. You know what I mean? If I've been seeing this guy
Right.
everywhere, I would not be going home. I would actually be going somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
But Laurie is still on edge about the image she saw. She goes to her house and walks upstairs to her bedroom. She looks out the window and believes that she sees the shape standing in the backyard amongst the clothesline. In the blink of an eye, he is gone. The telephone in Laurie's room suddenly rings and Laurie answers it. All she hears is strange noises coming out from the line. Startled, she quickly hangs up. The phone rings again, and it is Annie Brackett. Annie wants to know why Laurie hung up on her. Apparently, she had been chewing food the first time she called. She tells Laurie that she will pick her up at 6 o'clock in a few hours. Annie picks up Laurie and they drive off.
Yeah, about the when he's looking at it. One that scene scared me too, where he's just out there, but like she doesn't take her eyes off of him, but he still disappears. So I'm just like, did he just teleport?
But don't
Can
forget,
Michael Myers teleport?
don't forget though too. She also glances. She also glances away when she's answering the phone though too. So
That was
that's a
after
quick
he
run.
disappeared. So I think Michael Myers can teleport. Probably not all the time, but probably like
Either that
once
or
a
he's
day.
just he must have just been eating his Wheaties the whole entire 15 years and be like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go on ahead and run for it.
He just that's the only time he runs when the camera's away.
It's like, oh shit, she saw me. Run.
Oh damn, run.
But it still has that unsettledness. I know we've been joking around, but it still has that unsettledness of someone watching you, even through the
Okay.
sheets. There's just something eerie about someone watching you through the sheets that you ended up dry cleaning.
Mm-hmm. Especially
And
with
I
that
know
mask like that.
exactly. But yeah, then you also have Loomis arrives in Haddonfield. He goes to the cemetery, and the graveyard keeper leads him into the Judith Myers' grave. When they get there, however, they discover that the gravestone is missing. Loomis suddenly declares he has come home. Really, this is just what he's been telling you guys what he's after this
We
whole
know
entire
he's
time.
home. We've been seeing him, Loomis. Let's go. I'm
Well,
surprised the car he's driving around is basically like a federal vehicle. And no one, like none of the police are like, hey, that's a missing federal vehicle.
Well, I think
We
also Laurie's friends points that out though, but that's bad that a pedestrian will point that out, but not a cop.
Yeah.
And not only that, but okay, you're driving around with a headstone, right? And it's like a cop car. Wouldn't that weigh down the car?
It's just rolling around in the back seat, and Michael's just like, damn it. Should have brought the ropes. And he's just holding he's in the passenger seat next to him, he's just holding it. And he's driving like, oh,
Hang on, sis. It's gonna be
hang on.
bumpy, right? But I like that whole entire deal where it's really creepy that you actually would bring your sister's headstone with you. And then the cops at first don't believe Loomis. They think that he's lost his mind. And then finally, oh, now we're in trouble. Now that the
Yeah.
headstone's missing, now we're in trouble.
This dude's not
But
playing. Nope.
when Annie and Laurie keep driving, Laurie has a pumpkin with her that she says she's giving to Tommy Doyle. She believes that carving jack-o'-lanterns will keep him occupied, and he intends on subjecting little Lindsay Wallace to 6 straight hours of horror films. Turning the corner, they pull up to Nicholas' hardware store where they find Annie's father, Sheriff Leigh Brackett, standing outside. An alarm is ringing, and several other police officers are walking about the scene. Apparently, someone broke inside and stole some Halloween costumes. Annie and Laurie drive off, and minutes later, Dr. Loomis arrives. He introduces himself to Sheriff Brackett.
I like that scene. This is where he's
Me
talking
too.
to the sheriff. He's like, I don't know where Michael Myers is. He could be anywhere, as he's driving right behind. That was both cool, but also funny. It was just like something you see in a cartoon. Like, where is Michael Myers? Like, just driving by.
It kind of reminds me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, where
Yeah.
you actually have where the father is in the taxi cab, and then right beside him is Ferris.
Yeah. He's like, oh.
But I like how they said, "Oh, all they stole was rope and costumes and a mask."
It's
Like it was
a
no
rope,
big deal. Like
it
people
was
do
a
this all the
mask,
time.
a knife, and some rope. And I'm like, no, that's cause for concern. Like a mask, okay, but a knife and rope, like that's not a safe, healthy combination there.
No, that's a lot of red flags. In 2023, you would get red flags. If I were you,
Yeah.
get an air freshener, and also while you're at it, get a fishing pole.
Yeah, I was like, okay, that makes sense. You're fishing, not
Right.
murder, hopefully.
And get some off spray because you never.
Yeah.
But Kidrick says, I really had no plans of watching this movie, but now I'm hearing y'all talk about it. I think I'm going to watch it tonight. It's streaming on Prime right now, so you can watch it for free over there. But yeah, I thought it was like a lot creepy because of the fact that you have this small town, and they're acting like it's not even a big deal that somebody brought some rope or costumes and mask. Like this happens every Halloween. Then Loomis introduces himself, and I like how you have the children who pulls up first, and then right behind him is Dr. Loomis, and it's like, okay, so the girls are fine. It's a little bit of innocence, and then here comes the serious part.
Yeah.
But while Annie and Laurie are driving, they begin discussing their boyfriend troubles. Laurie is an introvert and is too shy to ever ask a boy out on a date. She expenses an interest in a student named Bennett Trammer. Little do the girls realize, but the shape is following them right around town in his stolen car. But now we're getting into Halloween night. But I like how this movie is basically a slow-paced film, and it winds up it feels tensed. Not only does it feel tense, but you also feel afraid for them because you know what's going to happen.
Mhm.
Then you're also feeling bad because they're getting stalked. I really have to say you're really on edge around this time by the time Halloween night comes.
Yeah,
What about for you?
yeah, it does a good job of building the tension. At first I was starting to feel it a little bit, like it's a little too slow, but like once you get into the full on blood and carnage and all that, and it's worth the wait. It builds itself up really well. But just for another fun nitpick thing, I'm surprised that the girls hadn't noticed that Michael Myers was driving right behind them because it was nighttime. He just had his headlights on. I'm pretty sure the high beams were on too, even though they parked and started getting out the car. Like they didn't just be like, "Who's that car parked right behind our car with the lights on?" I was just like,
Well,
"Dang, Michael, at least park like a block away on the opposite side of the street. Don't look so suspicious."
but to be fair though, I always get whenever I'm driving in in the country roads and stuff like that in the morning time, I always have this big ass truck that's always blinding me. The same truck every single morning because
Mhm.
the guy works construction. So, I can relate to the high beam situation, but like I would have been really pissed. Uh, but anyways, evening falls and the shape continues to follow Annie and Laurie. He pauses while Annie drops Laurie off at the Doyle house. Annie then pulls into the Wallace driveway directly across the street. The shape gets out of the car and watches as Annie talks with Mr. and Mrs. Wallace. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis meets up with Sheriff Brackett. They go to the old closed down Myers house. Wandering through the first floor, they find partially eaten remains of a dog. Brackett cannot believe that a man would do this, but Loomis reminds him this isn't a man. The two men go upstairs, and Brackett shows him Judith Myers' bedroom. Loomis tells Brackett about his history with Michael Myers. He details how he spent 15 years studying Michael, only to determine that there was nothing inside the child's mind but pure evil.
That broke my heart. You can murder all the humans you want in these movies, but as soon as a dog gets harmed, there's a couple of dog kills in this, and that hurt my soul. I don't like that. Leave the dogs alone.
I didn't like the dog kill, to be honest with you, either. John Wick needed to come back. If he was in the 1970s, I think he would actually kill Michael Myers.
Who killed my dog? That would be a good fight. I wanted John Wick to show up and just beat up Michael. And I'm just like, no,
hey John, you ready?
No, you ain't gonna kill my dog. I legit almost turned off the thing when I watched that movie because they killed a bunch of dogs, and that was a horrifying thing. Like, I was prepared to just stop watching it and just give it a bad rating because it killed dogs. And then, so in this one, when he, like I said, oh, he ate a dog, I'm like,
well, that's worse. That's worse than the Thing.
No, the Thing ate the dogs too, and multiple dogs.
Right, that's true.
Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought it up. It's
no. You're good.
Legit traumatizing. Anyway, yeah.
Because I don't like it whenever they kill dogs off or anything like that in the movies either, to be honest with you. But, I understand where they... I think that they could have just done without the killing and just show him eating something and not have to just tell him, oh, that's an animal. All they had to do was that's animal remains, and that's it. They didn't have to go into the detail of that's a dog remain.
Yeah. Or you could have just had Michael break into someone's house and kill them and just eat up all their food.
Well, that would work too.
That would work too.
At the Doyle house, Laurie reads Tommy a King Arthur story, but Tommy would rather have her read comics. Annie calls the house to see how Laurie is doing. She tells her that she has set her up on a date with Ben Trammer. Laurie cannot believe that Annie would do something like that and is completely embarrassed. She wants Annie to call him back to cancel the date, but she refuses. While in the midst of the telephone call, Tommy looks outside and catches a glimpse of the shape across the street at the Wallace house. He runs back to tell Laurie that he just seen the boogeyman, but Laurie naturally does not believe him. But I just want to talk about the whole scene at the Myers house, though. I like seeing abandoned houses. I don't know what it is about abandoned houses and stuff. But I like it when people go into them and they explain certain things inside the house and things like that. Mm-hmm. And that's just something I really liked, and how they did this in the movie. I thought it was really fascinating.
Yeah, I like that too. I abandoned houses, they're just so intriguing. Like, I would never go inside an abandoned house. Like, I'm too paranoid, but I do want to just look at them. But in this scene, when Tommy is freaking out about seeing the boogeyman, I'm surprised that Laurie just immediately dismisses him, because she was being stalked by a dude all day. So I'm surprised she wasn't like, oh, maybe probably not a boogeyman, but probably he saw the dude that I've been seeing. So, hey, Tommy, yeah, let's lock everything up and just post up in the room upstairs and just call the police, or call your parents or something. Not that the parents would help against Michael Myers, but it's just something. Like, I'm surprised she was just quick to be like, there's nothing out there. I'm like, this dude was standing outside your house and the school. and following you in a car. Like,
For me, I was thinking, well, maybe she was thinking, well, this guy, it's nighttime now. People, maybe this was just just one of those things that just, well, not a one-time thing, but at the same time, she's probably like, well, you know what, that happened. It's over with now. It's fine. And now I'm here to watch the kids. I'm not here to think about my day. I'm here to watch them. She has a job to do. But I definitely do see where you're coming from, though, too. It's like, okay, so you're quickly to miss him and not even be like, you know what? Maybe there might be some truth to this. Maybe I need to go ahead and inspect it or call 911 or something. But no, he just says,
here, Tommy, we're just gonna both look out this window all night. Yep, there he is. All right, let's just go. I just get in the car and drive off.
But yeah, at the house, Annie spills popcorn oil on herself and has to change her clothes. While she fumbles about for a robe and some detergent, Michael Myers spies on her from outside. The Wallace dog Lester catches his scent and begins barking. Michael waits for the dog to come, and we talked about this, so we're not going to bring that up. Annie brings her soiled clothes to an exterior laundry shed in the backyard. She hears the door suddenly creak open and thinks that it might be her boyfriend, Paul. She goes in and closes the door, but when she tries to open it again a moment later, she finds that it is locked. She begins calling out to little Lindsay Wallace, but Lindsay is in the main house, engrossed in a scary movie, and doesn't hear Paul. Doesn't hear her. Paul calls the house and asks Lindsay to get Annie for her. Lindsay hangs up on Paul, but does indeed go out back to find her babysitter. She frees Annie from the locked room and tells her that Paul called. So there's nothing much going on with that in a sense.
So is Michael just a pervert too? I know
all
he doesn't feel
perverts.
Yeah, but it's just like they portray him as like this emotionless, humanless being, that just wants to kill, but he, does stuff like that. He just watches this girl. Like, is he just choosing for the right moment, or I don't know. It'd be interesting to know what his thought process is, but that once again that defeats the whole purpose. Defeats the whole purpose of the character. So I was just like, yeah, you're a pervert. Why are you a pervert? Just kill her. She's stuck in the window. I was expecting him to just be like, shoom, slice her up real quick.
Right? But you know what else I think that is funny, though? We talked about The Thing. I think it's funny that the kids are actually watching the black and white version of The Thing, the original Thing.
The original.
But yeah, Annie takes Lindsay across the street to the Doyle house and drops her off with Laurie and Tommy. Laurie doesn't like the idea of Annie unloading Lindsay on her just so she can go on a date with Paul, but Annie promises that if she does this favor for her, she might consider calling Ben Trammer and canceling the pre-arranged dates, thus saving Laurie a lot of embarrassment. Laurie finally relents and Lindsay goes into the living room to watch television with Tommy. Then Annie goes back to the Wallace house to get her car keys. She enters the garage and gets into her car and notices that all the windows in the vehicle are completely fogged over. Michael Myers rises from the back seat and begins strangling Annie with his right hand. He then pulls out his knife and slashes her across the throat.
That's what he does. It was quick. I saw he like pulled up something and then like it looked like he thwacked her with it and then she died. I was like, did he just hit her with a stick? Like what? What was that? It was hard to miss, but that part made me. I'm not gonna lie, it was scary. She was getting killed, but also made me laugh because it's just like, yeah, you thought I forgot about that joke from earlier. I have you on this list, girl. I told you I'm gonna choke you.
Right, but you know what else, though, man? Like, I was thinking about this. There's no blood in this movie at all, and everybody talks about how gory this movie is, and. In the 1970s Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, people talked about how gory that movie is. And I'm thinking that there is just something psychologically within us that when we see somebody, for example, getting hung on a meat hook we're thinking, oh, that's graphic, but they didn't even show blood on that scene. So
No,
I'm thinking that we as an
it's-
audience is picturing it as bloody.
mm,
So that's something that I wanted to actually think about too.
yeah, I know movies back then were a bit more chill when it came to blood and gore, and then the Exorcist movie came along where she's stabbing herself in the genitals with the crucifix. Where I was like, oh, that's oh my lord, but that's the exception to the rule. But yeah, usually
Exactly.
there is blood in this, but it's all just kind of like after the fact, like, oh, the remains like little sprinkle of blood here and there.
Exactly. And I like that little subtleness to it where it's like not overboard with it or anything like that.
Yeah, because a lot of movies, at least these days, overdo it with the blood and gore, where it's just like, oh, well, now it's not even scary. Now it's just ridiculous. Like, that's too much of a mess. I don't think that's what it would look like. But
Well, I'm okay with gore as long as it's there to amplify the story. But
yeah,
if it's just there for the sake of being there, that's where I have the issue.
yeah, for real. It's just like you don't do too much with it. Like, make it a realist. Like if there's a scene that justifies the guts, like if someone with a giant hook just sliced open someone's stomach, okay, yeah, I expect a bunch of stuff to fall out. But like, don't just slash someone with a knife across the chest and then just you know.
But yeah, at the Doyle house, Tommy Doyle decides to play a trick on Lindsay Wallace and begins hiding behind a curtain. While doing so, he happens to look out the window and see Michael carrying Annie's body back into the Wallace house. He begins shrieking and shouts to Laurie that he's seen the boogeyman. Laurie comes in from the other room to calm Tommy down and insists that there is no such thing as the boogeyman, but now she is getting exasperated and with Tommy and threatens to send him to bed. So that's also another, like we were talking about before, how Laurie doesn't believe him. He's just getting tired of Tommy's crap. And be like, look, you don't pay me enough for this. $5.15 an hour. I need at least $7.50 an hour for
Yeah, for
1978
real.
pay.
However much babysitters got paid in them
Right.
days, especially on Halloween. Like, you gotta pay me a little more to not do anything for Halloween. Whatever.
But yeah. Meanwhile, Dr. Loomis keeps a steady eye over the empty Myers house. He sees a group of kids approaching, each one daring one another to go inside the supposedly haunted house. From behind the bushes, Loomis scares them off thoroughly, whispering, "Lonnie, get your ass away from there." The kids run at the sound of his voice, and Loomis leans back, a satisfied smile growing across his face. Sheriff Brackett appears and tells Loomis that he is losing faith in the doctor's abstraction over the impending threat of Michael Myers. Loomis tells him about the stolen headstone, but Brackett dismisses it as like nothing more than a Halloween prank. Okay, I don't look. How is stealing a headstone a Halloween prank?
Small town in the is
I live in a
Illinois
small
in the
town.
Midwest? Is that the Midwest? Small town. People are bored. I can see people like vandalizing a gravestone. It happened in cemeteries I lived at. I didn't live no lived by. I didn't live at cemeteries. I am not a vampire or a ghost. But to steal a headstone, especially a very specific one like Judith Myers, like that alone is like, okay, well, that's missing the person that killed the person who owned the headstone is missing. Like, it's it was just that was just another part that frustrated me about, like, just believe the doctor. He knows this man. Just listen to him. Do what he says.
Exactly, but small towns and stuff like that too. They're not going to end up trusting an outsider or anything like that. They're going to try and do things their way, and everything, and just they don't. They also don't want to do the paperwork either. They just like, okay,
Right.
someone stole a A headstone. Ha ha ha. Okay, good Halloween prank. Okay, Halloween prank in 1978. Headstone. Yeah, we'll look for that later.
Yeah.
But I do like that whole entire silliness with Loomis joking around with the kids as a Halloween prank, stuff like that too, because it shows that he does have a little bit of a sense of humor.
That was fun. Those kids needed to be scared. Need to be humbled
Yes.
a little bit.
Yeah, then we have, now we're getting into the killing. Linda Van der Klock and her boyfriend
Vander
Bob
Clock,
Sims.
whatever her name
Van
is.
der Klock and her boyfriend Bob Sims pull up the Wallace house in Bob's van. They are both somewhat in basically they're having sex, and there are empty cans and strewn about the inside of the van. They want to spend some time with Annie, but also hoping to find a place where they can be intimate with one another. They
Have a
quickly discover,
hormone sandwich.
yes, they quickly discover that Annie is not around. Linda calls Laurie to see if she knows where Annie is. Tells her that she is off on a date with her boyfriend, and that now she is stuck watching Lindsay Wallace. Linda tells Bob the news, and they both smile, knowing that they now have the house completely to themselves. They go upstairs in the master bedroom and have sex. Afterwards, Linda asks Bob to go get her beer from the van. He does so, but then comes back inside. Michael Myers is waiting for him. He shoves Bob against the wall and stabs him with his knife, pinning him to the wall. Michael takes a moment to admire his handiwork as Bob's body hangs bleeding from the wall.
Coolest kill in the movie. No way that's possible. I don't, because the knife, it was sticking out mostly still. I don't know how it would pin to the wall like that, but it did look cool. But the thing that bugged me the most, when they were having sex, that you said it was in the master bedroom. That is confirmed.
Yes, this is
If
it
I
is a mess.
was the owner of that house and I found out that the person I hired to watch my kids let their friends come over to have sex in my bed, so I'm getting teenage booty hole all over my sheets. Like, no, no, I would be so upset. I would be like, well, I'm kind of glad Michael Myers got to you. You don't do that to someone stranger's bed sheets. Oh, I'd be so mad.
Well, not only that, but the guy also doesn't last that long either.
Yeah, that's true. It was just like, dang, it's just they just finishing quick. Like, dang, all right. Well, I mean, get one out quickly before you get murdered. Like,
And then, talk about it quickly though too, because of the fact that he winds up finishing. First, they get interrupted. They put the phone on off the hook. Then I'm sorry if I get interrupted or whatever. That's it. I'm pretty much done almost.
oh,
But he went on ahead and tried again, and he didn't last that long. But anyways, he then takes a bed sheet and drapes it over his body. He places Bob's eyeglasses over top of the sheet to fool Lydia into thinking that this is actually her boyfriend. He enters the upstairs bedroom wearing the sheet, and Lydia chuckles. She attempts to entice Bob by baring her breast, but then the shape betrays no reaction. She grows frustrated. She then demands the beer that Bob was meant to retrieve for her, but still the shape does nothing. Angrily, Lydia gets up and decides to call Laurie again. As she waits for Laurie to pick up her phone, the shape discards the bed sheets and glasses and begins strangling Lydia with the telephone cord. On the other end of the phone, Laurie, believing the caller to be Annie, warns her against playing any more phone pranks. Lydia falls to the floor dead. She got, but yeah.
I was like, once again, they have a woman making sexual noises as she's dying. I was just like, oh no, there should be immediate red flags after like the second lack of response from who you think it's your boyfriend. You know, like he's just standing there. I would have just been like, okay, I said three things. My partner didn't answer me. I'm jumping out the window now. He ain't gonna catch me. So,
I would have
ah,
laughed if like Michael threw the beer can at her.
boom.
Get
That would
your
have been
own
a
damn beer.
great kill. That would have been a great kill. He just throws it hella hard at her.
Here, have a Budweiser.
Sponsored by Coors Light. Bah. Oh, now
But
we need to make our own scary movie now, just so we can have a kill like that.
they'll be epic.
Just throws a beer right.
But you know, and then she's also also too. I would have noticed the body language for sure. That's what Juliana Figueroa. Yep, I would actually notice the not only that, but the height though too, as well, because you know, I know he's tall, but Michaels has a little bit more of a reach, I think, as well.
Mm-hmm. He's
So
21
I would
years
have
old, and these are like teenagers, right?
right.
Yeah.
That's also another thing too. But I also think that, like I said, like you said though, this is actually a cool scene with him being stabbed with the door through the door and stuff like that, and being hung on the door. I definitely love that scene. Every single time I see it, it does make me have goosebumps when I watch it. So it works, but also too at the same time, I can understand why it doesn't land as well in a sense though too.
Totally unrealistic, but it's still super cool.
But at the evening, as the evening wears on, Laurie Strode puts Tommy and Lindsay to bed. She decides to take a walk and strolls over to the Wallace house. She sees that none of the lights on and wonders if Annie is still around. She goes inside and walks up the stairs into the bedroom. She finds Annie's body sprawled out across the bed. The stolen headstone of Judith Myers rests at the head of the bed. Laurie begins to scream as she turns around. She finds Lydia and Bob's bodies in two separate closets. Laurie runs into the hall. Michael Myers appears and slashes Laurie's across her right arm from behind. The impact pushes Laurie forward and she falls over the banister and down the steps, cracking her ankle in the process. She runs to the back door, but the handle is blocked with a garden rake on the opposite side. So Laurie has to smash the glass to release the handle. She manages to run outside and begins screaming for somebody to help her. She goes to the neighbor's house and begins pounding the door, but they refuse to let her in. She then hobbles back to the Doyle house as Michael stalks after her.
The neighbor legit like opens their window, looked at Laurie, and then closed it and turned off the lights. I'm like, dang, that's cold blooded. You can't.
It is. It's like, nah, I'm good.
I was frustrated with Laurie. I'm like, don't try to go inside a house. Just keep running down the street. Like if he's coming after you. So he wants to kill you. So you just go, girl. Just keep running. Don't try to hide in a place. But I'm glad she gets to the house finally. Freaking Tommy taking his sweet time to open the door. To let her, like, don't you hear your babysitter screaming bloody murder? Like, put some pep in your step, kid. Like, come on.
That's how you survive horror movies. You know what? I would actually, even those people are innocent bystanders at the house, I would actually go inside the house, let them be the sacrifice, and then hurry up and go out the back door.
That's true. The neighbors definitely do survive. They do. They're like, nope, I'm not in this movie.
It's like, no, I'm good. I don't want none.
Sorry, kid. This seems more like a you problem. I'm having a nice evening in my house.
I'm gonna watch The Thing. You can go on ahead and you go your way. We'll go our way. We don't meet in between.
I don't know if you can tell. My door is locked.
But I do like this scene though, as well, where the stolen headstone is there. And it's, I thought that was actually a pretty neat way actually doing it too, but I don't understand why you would put the headstone there and then have the girl laying there.
Mm-hmm. It's just
Unless it's
like,
to
don't
mock
have
his
sex.
sister's death.
Don't have sex when you're supposed to watch children. Maybe that's what set Michael off. He's tired of babysitters running off to sleep with their boyfriends or girlfriends. And so he's just like, so he goes after all the babysitters that does that.
But I also like the shadow of Michael, though, where Laurie is hiding, and then you see the outline of his face.
That was cool. That
in the
was a
dark.
cool shot.
That
It
was
scared me.
perfect. I love how that blends in perfectly with that.
Yeah, that was a cool shot. John Carpenter just had some epic shots in this movie. I'll give him that for sure.
So the door is locked, and Laurie cannot find her key. She bangs on the door repeatedly, shouting for Tommy to let her in, like you said. She throws a potted plant towards Tommy's window to wake him up. It'd be funny if Tommy was actually near the window, and she just winds up.
What? Oh. That's something out of a scary movie.
Right?
Oh,
Tommy
what's wrong?
awakens, but not sensing the urgency in Laurie's voice, takes his time getting downstairs. He finally lets her in, and Laurie tells him to lock Lindsay and himself in the upstairs bedroom and finds the phone is dead. After Tommy leaves, Michael appears in the living room. Laurie stabs him in the neck with a knitting needle. Laurie hobbles and pushes the kids back into a room, then runs in an adjacent bedroom where she hides in a closet. Michael comes after her and begins tearing through the panels of the closet, crawling in terror. Laurie takes a coat hanger and hits Michael with it, forcing him to drop his knife. She then picks it up and runs through his stomach. Michael collapses onto the floor.
She like stabbed him in the eye with it, right? Like that was cool.
Yeah,
I was like, I knew that a scene with a hanger was coming up, and I'm like, is she just gonna like just thwack him with it? But like she like undid it and then pierced his eye. And I'm like,
and not only that, it's not those plastic ones. It's actually a real hanger,
a
like
metal one.
metal. Yeah,
little tiny, like, yeah, those will definitely do it. If you go through someone's eye, I think I kept yelling at the screen, just like, no, keep stabbing him. Like you have his knife, just go. He's just laying there on the ground, probably like passed out or whatever the heck he's doing. But I'm like, I would just keep on going at him.
and there's also a lot of heavy breathing when he's busting through through the closet.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get this girl.
I am so pissed off. My neck hurts.
I fucking hate Halloween.
I hate Halloween. I hate babysitters just not watching the kids and having sex in other people's beds, not even in their own bed.
Oh, but man. Laurie goes to the bedroom and tells the kids to go to the street to the McKenzie house. What makes you think that they want to be there and have the adults call the police? Why do they want to call the police? They both run out of the house screaming and fright. Loomis sees them fleeing and begins trotting towards the Doyle house. Laurie takes a moment to collect herself. She stands up, but as she does so, Michael Myers rises as well. He comes up behind her and begins strangling her. Suddenly, Laurie rips Michael's mask off, causing him to let her go and giving her a chance to see his face before putting his mask back on. Loomis shoots Michael 6 times, like 50 Cent, before Michael falls over the house's second-story balcony ledge. Laurie realizes it was the boogeyman, to which Loomis replies, "As a matter of fact, it was my dear." He doesn't say my dear. I put the emphasis on there. Loomis looks down over the balcony to see that Michael is gone. Unsurprised, Loomis stares off into the night while Laurie begins sobbing in terror. Places where Michael had previously been are shown as his breathing is heard, indicating that he is still alive and could be anywhere. And last view of the Myers house.
That was a cool ending. I liked that ending. We just showed all the different places and then the breathing and then Laurie crying. I'm like, oh, cool. We're getting a sequel. Ugh. But
sequels.
Sequels. Lots of sequels. But I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was very well done. I thought the scares were super effective. I like how, they just, the jump scares are surprising. You don't see them coming, and just, the unsettledness, the eeriness of it, just this stalker, this unstoppable stalker, like that was cool. And the theme song of this movie is so lit. Like I can't help but every time it was playing in the movie, I was just like, hey, dun, 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 dancing along to it. My only issue with this movie, well, we talked about it briefly, was there's a lot of the story that could have used more detail. Like why was he going after Laurie specifically? Because like he set up the tombstone and those bodies as like obviously as like a
Memorial, basically.
memorial, either a memorial or like as a way to show, he was trying to show something. And they felt so that obviously it's like, okay, this is personal. Like he wouldn't put up this display if he really wasn't feeling some type of way about Laurie for whatever reason. And we learn in the sequels, but I would have liked a little something from there. So that was my first issue. My second issue is that a lot of the acting was god awful. It was god awful acting, especially from the teenage girls. I was just like, oh no. Like Loomis was okay, and Jamie Lee Curtis, I liked her. She did good.
Me too.
But everyone else, it was just like, oh, it was kind of not cringy, but it was just out of place. So like anytime people were getting killed, just oh no, it was laughable.
Especially the part where the girl's getting strangled. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, it was just like, why are you making her sound so sexual? Like yeah, it's just the acting was laughable, but overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I think like it makes sense that it became so popular and launched all of the sequels.
Not only that, but it was like a low budget film at the time, and they also were trying to film this in the summertime or something like that. I think in California, and they were. Matter of fact, I believe that the leaves were changing, so they had to go in there and actually color the leaves.
Oh dang, that's dedication.
Yeah, but I like this movie. It still is one of my favorite movies I love to watch on Halloween. The pacing of it is really good. I like the slow pace of it, the tension build up towards it. The atmospheric of Halloween, they captured the magic of Halloween. You're scared for Laurie, you're scared for these kids, you're invested into it. But yeah, some of the acting is like overacted. Some things needed to be expanded on, but I guess that's because of the budgeting and stuff like that, so they weren't able to expand on it as much. But right. I do agree that they needed to expand on some things as well. So yeah, all in all, still a great fright to watch. So that's going to be it as far as the show goes, man. Is there anything going on as far as your channel goes or anything like that?
Yeah. So you all can actually watch me react to this Halloween movie on that video will release on October 30th, but day before Halloween. Yeah, so doing that, and then next week I'll be doing my review on Saw. I also did a reaction on that, but then technical difficulties deleted everything, so I'll just give my opinion on that.
Okay. So I do have a video coming out tomorrow. It's actually a review for Friday the 13th. I'm releasing it tomorrow for Friday the 13th. It is the 1980s original Friday the 13th movie. So that's going to be released in the afternoon hour at 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I am still working on the audio editing portion of it. So if you guys listen to us on audio podcast platforms, I'm going to try to get it pushed out for Friday the 13th. If not, I'm not going to be able to make the deadline like I had wanted to, but it will be released and everything too. So Jason might have a little bit of a day off as far as killing goes for the audio podcast. But, I think you guys will actually enjoy the video format though too. So like I said, that's going to be at 12:30 in the afternoon. And then next week, I have my good friend Soda on. We're going to be ranking all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So we have that going on over there, and that's pretty much everything that's happening at Movie Lovers Unite. Go on ahead, smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, give us a 5-star rating. Go on ahead if you guys want to donate to us to actually help us out. Go on ahead, go to buymeacoffee.com, and all those links will be in the show notes below. Also, too, if you want to get some merch and everything, go on ahead, get some merch from us. And always until next time, guys. Thank you again, Alex. I do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. And I don't know why I said thanks for having me. You're always here. You're in the logo.
Here. I'm everywhere.
But yeah. So, anyways, I appreciate you as always, man. You're great to the podcast and stuff like that. So let's go on ahead. Always until next time, guys. Bye-bye.